What's up, everybody, and welcome back. Shark Nation episode number 61. Jason and I have a super special guest here with us today. We have Jessica Boswell. How you doing
Hey,
today?
doing good, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're super pumped to have you on. We've heard so much. I mean, I've heard so much about you, just making waves here in the real estate space, running a wicked team. So let me fire it off because I don't know really a ton about your background, but just like what got you into the business, and what inspired you to start this thing and grow it into what it's become.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny. So I have zero sales background. I was super introverted. I was a scientist for over a decade. I played with test tubes. I went to work with the same five people every day. And my husband actually got called to do some work in St. Louis, and I decided let's take a chance. Let's go out there. We had our first child. I said I really need to re-enter the workforce in some way. And I chose real estate, and I just fell in love with it. I was like, I cannot believe that I hadn't found this sooner. I discovered about myself that I didn't enjoy doing the same things day in and day out, which was very much what I was doing prior. And I also really enjoyed getting to know people. So having that variable schedule and that exciting, immediate problem solving type of thing, as opposed to waiting 10 years to see your work come to fruition, like in science and biopharmaceuticals, was just I was hooked. And as far as growing it big, um, for me, um, I just have never done anything halfway. So I immediately joined a team in St. Louis, and I listed a house a week. We moved back home to Connecticut, joined another team, listed a house a week. And then after I had my daughter, um, I went solo, and I was doing 100 deals a year. And then I said, all right, I really want to try a team to see if I can do it. And that's really what led me down this road. And I've grown so much as a leader because of it.
Oh, it's
Wow.
amazing. I told Chad I saw you speak at Conversion Con, and I'm like, Chad, you should have saw this. I mean, you missed it. It was amazing. And I'm like, she's on stage and she comes up, and it's like Russell Crowe in a beautiful mind. She has these PowerPoints, and there's all this tech stack. I'm like, Chad, she's right up our alley. We got to get her on the show.
Yeah, I am super process oriented, and that comes from my science background. Everything has an operating procedure. There's steps for everything. There's documents for everything. There's links to find all the documents to all the things, and it's allowed me to be pretty efficient and to grow, to spend my time growing my team instead of figuring out who should be doing what, when, and how. So.
Love it. So take me back to you said St. Louis. I didn't know that. You were in St. Louis and then went to Connecticut?
Yeah, so well, we're from Connecticut originally, but we
Okay.
went to St. Louis for a few years for my husband is a project manager, and he cleans up contaminated sites. And so we went there for a big project of his. And then I just kind of fell into real estate. I said, I really want to do something other than be a stay-at-home mom. And I swear to you, it was the houses are real pretty, and it'll be flexible. And then I was like, I'm joining the number one team in the city, and I'm doing it. And yeah, because I don't know how to do anything halfway. So that's how it happened. Yeah.
Wow. And what year was that? When did you start in the business?
That was 2017.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Go ahead.
that's super interesting because, as a brand new agent, sometimes people are like, oh, I want to figure it out on my own and try to just do it. What about, was it just your personality type, or how'd you say no, I want to get in the team, kind of shorten that learning curve, or what was your mindset with joining a team?
Yeah, I think that might have been my academic and corporate background. It's funny, my parents were ultra entrepreneurial, but I had that academic and corporate background. So for me, I was like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Let me join somebody that knows what they're doing and can teach me, and that will fast forward. Um, and yeah, I mean, thank God my very first team leader took me under her wing. She really mentored me. And it was priceless. What I learned with her was priceless.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So how long were you in St. Louis till you made the move back?
Just a few months. My husband's parents had rapidly like declining mental health, and we decided to buy a house in their neighborhood so we could walk there and help whenever they needed and just be super close by. And the listing just so happened to be with my second team leader, the one that I joined in Connecticut. I figured, she lived in that neighborhood, join forces and work with sellers with her. And that's where I really like started working online leads, which I adore. Like I love anything online lead. And I'm really big on those with my team.
Love it. Love it. Okay. So come back to Connecticut, you find a house and join the team, um, which is interesting because, we've had a few past clients that have become agents too, and you don't realize that can be part of it. So you just never know who you're meeting today, where they'll show up in your life in 5 or 10 years, So I think it's super important for everybody to think about on either side watching this. But um, when how long did it take to get things running coming back to a different market from being in St. Louis? You got business kind of up and running there and coming back to Connecticut. How long did it take?
Yeah, no, it wasn't bad. I
Really?
took the state exam and like got right into it. Again, like just being on a team fast forwards you. I didn't, and I was still relatively new, so I didn't necessarily feel comfortable like approaching my family and friends like, "Hey, I don't really know what I'm doing yet, but can I like sell your house?" So it was like being able to learn the market with internet leads was perfect. And then I was able to share my experience on social media. People saw social proof and then started approaching me. But at the end of the day, like I'm always more comfortable with internet leads for sale by owners, expireds, all of that, which I think are like critical to growing a larger team. You need to have a good lead supply.
No, I love that because I was the same way. I mean, I was a heavy internet lead, when I started, and what like you said, you show the social proof, you show that you have proof of concept that you can do it, and then all of a sudden your sphere of influence has more reason to reach out or work with you. And I think it's nicer to view the sphere as more of a cherry on top rather than the foundation of the business. Like I say that a lot to a lot of our team members. Like it's not
Yeah.
like we don't, but in that way you don't have this expectation from everybody you already know. You can just continue the same relationship with them, and then if they see enough proof in what you're doing, they use you. So I'm super passionate in the same space there. So okay, so internet leads though they work for you. What was the one thing for you with internet leads making it happen? Like what was the one thing that um, attributed to your success with them?
Success with internet leads.
Yeah, like in the
Right
beginning.
at the beginning, it was like being available.
Yeah.
Like I would answer my phone at like, I'm not kidding you, 11 at night.
Yep.
I remember there was a call that came through Zillow, picked it up at about, I think it was 10 at night. I picked up, and that gentleman, I helped buy a home. His partner became my very first admin, and he referred me to two other people. And he's good friends with an agent that's now on my team who was an Op City lead. So he's now on my team. Before he became an agent, I helped him buy. I helped his twin brother buy. I helped their mother sell their home, and now he's an agent on my team, and he's one of my top agents from Op City, man. Like,
Wow.
yeah. So
Never
I
know.
was always available. Probably not great with work-life balance, but it like I needed it to form that super solid foundation and the capital to start the team.
Yeah. Let's dig into that since you mentioned it. Work-life balance, if there's such a thing, right? How do you juggle, being a mom, being a wife, you got the business, you're growing out, now you're coaching, you got all kinds of stuff going on. Like where do you find the balance? Like, is there a such thing as balance? I don't think there's a balance. I think there's kind of like a harmony. There's
Yeah.
times for work and times for, being home and being present and all that kind of stuff, but there's no set times.
Yeah, so the pendulum swings for me, and I totally agree with you that there's no such thing as true balance, right? And also like over the past few years, as my schedule has become more and more and more jam-packed, I've learned how to manage my time more effectively as well. Not getting sucked down the rabbit hole of like social media and emails and things like that. So work-life balance. I always think of like Barbara Corcoran when she said there's no such thing as work-life balance. When I am working, nobody better bother me, right? And when I'm with my family, nobody from work better bother me. And I've moved more and more in that direction. And you really need to have like a very supportive partner, spouse, somebody that understands that. So like, a lot of people are like, how do you do it? How are you, a mom? And like, my husband does so much and he's so supportive and he just sees how happy I am doing this. And, so a lot of those years that I spent during COVID, very little time was spent with my family. Now, thank God that I'm building the team and I have the sales leverage and the administrative leverage. I'm like finally getting back to that, getting back to being with my 6 and 9-year-old. I'm getting back to focusing on my health, which went to wherever, while I was working 80 plus hours a week. I'm getting back to it. And like we tell our agents, like there's, nothing good happens after 8 o'clock, but I don't know. I just talked about a lead that I like picked up at 10. So I don't know. Maybe I can't even say that, but reasons, seasons, lifetime, it's a season. So just like I had my solo season, I also have my team building season, right? And every now and again, I'm like, all right, hon, like I just need to be able to focus on work for this amount of time. And then, I'll be with you guys for next week, or I'll be with you guys for this weekend. So yeah, it's collaborative. It's having that support system that really understands like what it takes to run a successful business, like a business that really takes so much emotional energy out of us. Yeah.
Amen to that. So now okay, so you go through that, you start to build this, and solo works well, on a team, your team leader. So you've experienced different levels of it and systems
Yeah.
and processes oriented. What stays the same from your previous, like the scientist part? Like what do you pull from that you still utilize, and what is like, well, I never get to use that anymore and I have to use this instead? Like what compare and contrast I guess the role.
Sure. What have I like pulled forward? Yeah, it's super easy for me to be like, wow, I wasted a lot of time like doing something that wasn't right for me. But then when I really think about it, like so much of that formed the way that I look at this business. So data analysis, super key. Like I could live in FUB and geek out in there, like, how many people, like how many contact attempts for each lead, and which agent's doing what at what time, and auto plans and action plans and all of that. So, and then also being able to think of things in a granular way at the same time as thinking things really big, right? So we have this goal that we want to achieve. How does it look like from a 10,000-foot view? And how does it look like from like an ant's perspective, and working step by step by step by step, like backwards, until each process is defined and tweaked and perfected. Yeah, I don't know, like, that like funny test that Keller Williams used to give agents, and they gave you this like spatial awareness thing to like, I don't know if you guys ever did that KW thing, but I always freaking kicked ass on that part. Like I got really high scores with the spatial awareness. I just like, my mind thinks like that. I love visualizing workflows, and I can pinpoint where stuff is lacking, where we're running into problems, and then like how to make things more and more and more efficient, and like the real estate robot. And then so that I carried forward. And then what didn't work for me any longer was I think like just not having to communicate with people like all day every day. I mean, I really had to learn. And I'm a good chameleon. Like I that's something that I like for like as a child. I was kind of forced to play that role. And that's oftentimes what makes people really excellent in sales. So I'm super psyched that I get to use that now, but it's in a very genuine way. It's like not contrived. Like I have very deep empathy for people and an ability to like just understand where people are coming from and help people to feel like comfortable around me. Like I'm pretty vulnerable. I talk about my like weaknesses. So those are things that you don't necessarily do like in a corporate environment. You're not, it's kind of frowned upon. You go to work, you do your work, you don't really,
You're not real.
right? So yeah, that would be some comparisons and contrasts.
That's a passion chord for me because, like, so like my team will probably know that I often go off and like I hate corporate sounding responses, whether it's on a call or in a text or because I think people hide behind the corporate mask and they're not themselves and authenticity and all the stuff, so that yeah, you're hitting a passion chord for me for sure because well, I always say, everybody says business isn't personal is a bunch of, I say it's BS because we're all human beings, like everything is personal. So I love to hear all that. Now I also love, like, so I like your mind seeing it visually and here. But running this team, you must have done a pretty good job communicating the vision to them, right? Like, so um, what was there ever, or was there a challenge, communicating the inner, vision map out to, your team and the people you're working with?
Dude, I did a shit job. What are you talking about? I did a shit job. I have learned so much in the past 2 years. So I just, I jumped in, right? I jumped in with both feet and said, like, we'll figure it out as we go. And that's so much of this. And so it took like several months to even really understand like truly why I was doing this and develop, the vision and the mission statement. And now I am effectively communicating that in my recruiting interviews. And I think that that's where I like got tripped up at the beginning. Like, yeah, I recruited quite a few people. Not all of them were like a great culture fit, and that's okay. Like we learn as we go. So yeah, those more like esoteric principles, they're crazy important, but yeah, like I kind of learned the hard way with that one. And now I reinforce it, like, in my training and in meetings and then even before I like, we'll even bring people on. Yeah.
I was going to say, I think it's good to hear, right? Especially for newer team leaders that like, in the beginning, it's a lot of a shit show and kind of you're trying to build the airplane as you're flying across the country. That's kind of the message, I'm delivering to the team. It's like, but you got to start somewhere. And like you said, we have like the no a-hole rule on the team. We want a good culture. And I think that's more important than, maybe top performing agents that just aren't a good fit. I don't even want them. I want people that are going to kind of buy in and, build that family together.
Yeah.
I missed that for years. Yeah. I think I'm just starting to understand that now. But that said, the one thing I love, I mean, we all talk about take the lesson as, or take the failure as a lesson, or take the mistake as a lesson. I mean, you're just an embodiment of that and everything you're saying here. So like, that's freaking awesome to see, is that, that ready, fire, aim mentality. Like, love that.
Yeah. What is the thing? Like you learn 80% faster by failing and objectively analyzing it and how not to do it again than by like learning via theory. 80% faster. Like it may be more painful, but that's okay. We rip it off like a Band-Aid. And that's something that took me quite some time as well. Like I was a serial perfectionist. And a lot, that was a lot of my identity and a lot, the people pleasing serial perfectionist. And like I had to let that go once I started this business. I'm so glad, that the business served as like a catalyst for that level of growth. Like yeah.
It's huge. Yeah.
How do you process this? Like, having that scientific mindset, right? There's, you like to be detail oriented, system processes, right? But, once I like to say there's a lot of stuff that we could do, I call practice before you go under contract. And then once you're in the game is once you go under contract, and it's like trying to train agents on every possible scenario that could possibly happen. How'd you like kind of navigate that?
Yeah. So there's no way to do it, right? So it's easy to train them, on the phones, and it's easy to train them with how to fill out contracts, right? But there are like infinite scenarios that we come across. And so I like make myself openly available from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. every day, except for when I'm with my family. Then I have my leader agents help me by text and by email. And I tell them, like, please, if you are uncertain about anything, like, I don't care if you feel stupid, just please come to me and ask, and I can guide you through it. Because having done hundreds of transactions on my own prior to starting the team, like, I've seen a lot. And that's like the part that I really secretly enjoy, is when they come to me and I can really help them like problem solve, and then they can feel confident the next go.
Yeah, that's a big one. And well, I think a mistake I made. So, I had kind of had built the team up and had a little bit of a valley and, kind of pick it back up. And I think one of the biggest things I screwed up was not having as much of that one-to-one, automating myself out of relationships, as good old Cheplack would say, right? But yeah, and it's crucial. Like, you have to have you have to have that. Obviously you got to have the spaces and your boundaries for whenever you are taking the time. But this business isn't 9 to 5. um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so yeah, that's everything.
And that's okay. And like, as time has gone on, I've identified like my leader agents that are now, they didn't even have to be asked. They just stepped up to help with all of the new agents we take on. I love like the new agent model, you know. Um, and I try not to, I don't judge, right? Like, I was this like weirdo scientist that became an agent, and like it worked out. So like, I'm pretty open-minded. But they need help. Like, they need a lot of help being drawn out of their shells and taught, these things that can sometimes come a little more naturally to us. So having the leader agents help me leverage out those phone calls and those texts is huge.
Yeah,
And then they're rewarded for it in turn.
100%. Well, and I think it helps them know their own craft more. I know when I first had to teach something that I do regularly, it made me learn it better. I mean, that's one of the best ways to learn, is to have to teach it. You got to learn real fast. And I just had we had a team training right before this episode here, and I had a question. I had one of my seasoned agents take it, and it was, first of all, it's also awesome to see how much they grow over
Yeah.
the time with your environment. But then yeah, it challenges them to make sure that they have their I's dotted and T's crossed too, and it helps them in turn.
Yeah.
So I love that. I want to hear a little bit about what's going on now. So I hear, or I've seen, it's been excitement. You've become a reside coach yourself, huh? So
Yeah.
congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. I was really surprised and honored that they asked. Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, that anybody being picked up in the Chet Black environment is no joke, because they're serious people. So I love it. Tell me, how that aligns with your mission. Like, how does this fit into what you're building and what you're looking to do?
Whew, that's a big question. It's another one that I think is going to like uncover itself and unfurl over time,
Sure.
right? Like, figuring out why I started this team and why it was so important to me. Like, there was something that was driving me, and when I was asked to do this, like, I immediately was like, yes, like, without much thought, because I knew that I know that it's going to cause me to grow. Um, and anything that can help me develop as a human being, as a leader, is really, really important. Like, it's holistic. And I'm going to learn from all of the people that I'm coaching and be able to bring all of that back to my team. I think it's going to be like an invaluable exchange of information there. It'll put me in proximity with other leaders that are probably facing the same problems or issues or challenges that I am. And so, and it's going to cause me to level up, right? Like, just like being a team leader causes you to, like, it's going to bring me even to the next level. And I'm so excited to see where it takes me. Like, I'm already thinking, all right, like, I'm going to design my surveys and my intake questionnaires so I can find out exactly what it is these team leaders want to achieve. Like, if they could close their eyes and picture themselves a year from now, like, what does their life look like personally, professionally, like all of it. And then, set true milestones and commitments. And, I think now, like, I have to hold myself so much more accountable in all of these other things. Like, forget it. Like, it's freaking game on. Like, I have to walk the walk. There's nowhere to hide now. So,
Yeah.
I think you're going to be a fantastic coach. And the reason I say that is because I think you have an amazing ability from hearing you speak about breaking down the process, and you could take a big picture of somebody else's business and see where maybe pieces are missing or maybe where they need to tweak the process. So I think that sets you up well for being a coach.
yeah, that's going to be super exciting. I can't wait because I've done so much experimentation with different software and lead sources and flows and staffing options and all of that. So, yeah, like, I'm excited to put some of those recommendations to work for sure.
That's yeah, and well, I love what you said. I mean, can you give a better answer? I mean, that was awesome. Like how it pushes you to level up, and there's nowhere to hide, and it's gonna, and you're gonna bring that back to the, well, not even just the team, right? I mean, your family, the people around you, your
Yeah.
kids will see that. I mean, like just like yeah, that's I love that. I think that's great. So talk to me about the switch to LPT. How what got you looking, and what how's the transition been so far? Because it's I've seen a lot of excitement from you. I hear it. So yeah, like take me into
Yeah.
that world.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people have asked, including people in my like way upline at EXP. And it was not a move away from something that I wasn't happy with. Like, that is so important for me to vocalize. Like, I was not unhappy with where I was. It was a move toward the potential. Like, I see the potential in it, and it's really exciting. And I love being on the forefront of newer things. Um, and I love Robert Palmer's vision. I love the real estate first vision. I love the agent choice. I knew that for me, it was going to really help me recruit because right now the market is difficult for agents, and um, allowing them to choose whether or not they want a certain, compensation plan and an ability to build a downline versus a flat fee 100% model is important to them.
Yeah.
So I'm not necessarily making any more, but they will be. So I think that that's going to be really beneficial for recruiting. Also, I'm super excited about all of like the tangibles that Robert is providing us for our listings. I think that, in Connecticut, there are many older people that are listing their homes that are really going to love seeing all of these things that we do in addition to all the digital stuff.
Yeah.
All of this paper stuff really fills a void, like in my business, all of the print marketing, postcards, door hangers, like all of that. And I have agents that are super excited that door knock. So they love that. Um, yeah, and it's just like it's a family feel, and I feel like my voice is heard, which is that's important to me. It's always been important to me. It's a big reason I left corporate. I felt like my voice wasn't heard. So
Love it.
yeah, then I don't know, man. Being on the cutting edge and being able to build something, it's just like I didn't want to pass that up.
Yeah, I love that. And your first team in Connecticut to do it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that's huge. I mean, I remember. I mean, Christ, I joined EXP in 2016, and I mean, there was like 1,000 agents roughly when I
Yeah.
joined, and they had, somebody had came around, and we had a little event, and it was about a year in, and we were complaining like, oh, nobody knows, there's not enough EXP in this market, so nobody knows. That's why it's hard to recruit. And she's like, yeah, that's your greatest freaking opportunity. Like,
Yeah.
it started to blow up in other areas, but it really hadn't in ours yet. And it's like when you're early to something, it's definite opportunity. So,
Right.
awesome. I love it, and
Yeah.
that's exciting times. Cool. So, What's the future look like? Where are you looking to take all this? The team, the coaching, the person you're becoming. Where are you looking to? What are you excited for? Where are you going
Oh
next?
my God, I'm excited for all the things all the time. So, and this is live, and of course I have the tickle in my throat. Hold on.
It's all good. Yeah, it's authentic.
I'm super authentic, you guys.
Take your time. I got some too.
By the way, I'm sick. I am getting over being sick. So, um, this year we'll do 300 units. We'll have no fewer than 35 agents. Um, I'll run 5 trail races, and it is my goal to place in the top 3 in my age range for at least one of them. I will spend more time with my family for dedicated family vacations. I will renovate my office space so that it's a welcoming place not only for my team, but other agents at LPT that don't have a home. That's just this year. And then, oh yeah, and pick up a couple of investment properties. I want to do that. And just, I don't know, just continue to learn and pour into the community and just see where coaching leads me. I hope to have another speaking gig. I want to do lots of podcasts. I'm just like really enjoying this season right now. And it feels really, really good. As hard as it is, it feels really great.
Well, let's put your coach hat on for a second, right? What would your advice be for like a brand new agent getting into the business and kind of just, how would you guide them to building their business?
Sure. I would recommend doing what I did and joining a team. Doesn't have to be my team, but making sure to really understand what that team offers, because there are so many teams, right? And like some of them are great, some of them are not so hot. So making sure to ask the right questions. And the very biggest thing that needs to happen is not being afraid of failure and not letting fear get in the way. Like push through it. Fear is a liar. I have it on my vision board that I made in 2017 when I first became an agent. It's sitting right here. Fear is a liar. And I have just lived that mantra. And that's the mindset. You need that mindset combined with the tools of a team to help give you a good start.
I love it. Second part of the question. Team lead comes in, new to coaching, right? So when I first started getting into coaching, I'm like, well, I just sit here and I just listen to them tell me exactly what to do, or I bring my questions to the coach and then they just tell me to kind of go? Like, how would you prefer like the coachy relationship to go?
Yeah, so I know that like everybody's going to have their own like way that they want to do things, and different personalities and different flavors, and I'm here to meet people where they're at. But in order to meet people where they're at, I have to have a really holistic view of what they're looking to achieve. I'm so sorry. What a terrible
No, you're fine. Take your time if you need a second to get it.
The funny part is before we were backstage before we started, and we're like, we're like, oh yeah, by the way, just so you know, this is a lot. Like, well, you guys can edit it out if I say.
Can't you just edit this hacking out?
We will edit that out.
We have the ability. We can go back. But I love that you're asking how to be a good student though too, because I was just saying this to my wife the other day. It's like some of these people that have become such great people, I'd love to know like how they were as the student, and whether it's us when we're in that relationship with a coach, or if our team members, or in your case, coaching other reside team leaders. I mean, it's important to be a good student too. It's not just like it takes 2 people to make something happen, not just not just one. I mean, if the coach is giving you gold and you're not listening or showing up or responding, it's worthless, right?
Right. Yeah, I've always been a perpetual learner. Like I love it. Anything that I'm interested in, like I can research and research and research and research. Like I've dug down like so deep into this, and I'll probably go and study some like some coaching materials. And I've already asked like to meet with several other coaches to ask like, hey, how do you do this? And what does this look like? And how are you providing value? So I'm already like, I'm prepping. And yeah, that's just all part of the process. And like, I want to do this 120%, just like I want to do my team 120%. So
I see
yeah,
that.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I can see that in you. And I love how much you knew where your year was going to be. I mean, like you know what's going to happen. You're manifesting it. You know where you're going.
I'm doing it.
And that's awesome. So, um, what's what is your we always love the one thing, like the one thing, right? You know, the one daily activity you're going to do. So what's your big focus if you look at all this stuff that you know your non-negotiable daily that you're committed to in 2025 that been keeping you up at night?
Yeah, it's that thing that like I'm most afraid of doing, right? That's the thing you have to do. And that is totally like calling recruits and
Oh,
not waiting for like my emails to bring them in or my texts to bring them in or my appointment setting company to bring them in. It's reaching out in a very like intentional way. And I think so much of this year, whether it's with recruits or sellers or buyers or whatever, we have to be targeted and intentional now and stop throwing the darts all over the place and seeing what lands. Um, and yeah, so that's going to take time to sit and dig through and look through people's history and I don't know, just like learn about them. And like that to me, being able to like for a seller, easy. For a recruit, learning, you know? Um, to me, it's just there's so much more riding on it, making the right choice, making the right decision in the right way, in a way where like, they feel respected, I feel respected. It doesn't feel forced. That's a very like it's much more nuanced, I feel, than a client. So
yeah, and it's super hard not to want to present a solution um, too early.
yeah.
I mean, that was my challenge for sure, spewing the feature wheel. And the seek first to understand, then be understood, principle really there. I mean, they come into curiosity. I love that. What's funny though, what you said about the thing is the one that makes you the most uncomfortable because, Jason, I don't know if I even mentioned this to you, but I before I had joined Reside and before we had just gone to a Maverick or two. Chet Black, you were always hearing, spend 60% of your time in your core competency. And I, I don't know where it came from, but some random thing of courage. And I was like, hey, you said I texted him or messaged him. I don't know. I was like, hey, you say accountability is mutual, not singular. Well, I don't think you do a good job explaining how to identify your core competency because I don't know what the hell mine is. I don't even know why I was like coming out of like that or where that was, but it cracks me up. I think about it because he texted me back and he said, it's the thing you're most afraid of or most uncomfortable doing. And as soon as he said that, I'm like, shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he said that before, and I just missed it or didn't want to hear it. But it's exactly what he said. It's that one thing that's just the most uncomfortable that you're scared of. It's the biggest needle mover, and typically it's the phone.
Yeah.
100%. So I love to see that come out here because, yeah, same game.
I love knowing that I said the same thing that he did. I respect him so much. And yeah, it's that thing that we're afraid of. Not just, because it's uncomfortable talking on the phone, but also like linked back to stuff from our past that we judge ourselves for today, right? Like, I'm not good enough, or, what do I have? What do I really have to offer this person? Or, how dare I go thinking that like somebody of this caliber might want to be on this team or new or this or that. So I think it's like dealing with a lot of that, like a lot, imposter syndrome and stuff like that. And that's what's truly scary about it is like facing all of that nonsense from your past that you have to get through to realize that you're worth the phone call. It's not the phone call, it's the nonsense that you have to break through to know that you're worth it making that call. So
many light bulbs going off for me. Yeah, it's yeah, this has been so you're giving gold out here. Everybody tuning in, you don't know what you're
Yeah.
doing right now. um, awesome. So I guess as we start to wrap this up, how do you stay ahead? Like let's just talk about the future with AI coming in and all that good stuff. How do you make sure um, how do you make sure you stay ahead of all? I think I might know where you're going with this, but I'm answering for you in my head. But how do you stay ahead of the crazy changes, the lawsuits, all this crazy stuff that's been coming? How do you make sure you're staying ahead of
TCP,
it?
yep.
oh, the TCPA stuff. Yeah, I mean, email's going to be king. Being really cognizant of what is going on in your database and essentially like segmenting and only allowing agents that have proven to you that they understand and care about the way these things work those segments. I'm already like segmenting and making sure I'm going to give a presentation on TCPA stuff at team meeting, and everybody will be given a quiz so that they understand. And then with I mean, NAR, whatever, we've like, that's old hat.
Yeah.
It's been awesome for listings. It's been freaking great. Like, I actually love what's happened with that. And my agents don't have a problem getting buyer agencies or anything like that. We've got that down. Another thing for TCPA, like since I have so many different lead sources, I'll be visiting each lead source's website and acting like a client to make sure that I can see exactly what I'm signing up for and what language. All right. And then with AI, the agents that will survive are going to be the agents that understand how to use AI at a high level, like not just to write their like listing descriptions, right? So we need to get crazy good at our prompts, right? At exactly what to ask and how to ask it. And so that's going to require like high level overviews of how marketing systems work, so that we can prompt to a point where the information we need can be generated in a way that makes sense and doesn't sound corny. And then we have to find people to leverage that out to, because at the end of the day, like I don't create this software. Like I'm not, so like I will find the person that's super good at this stuff and I will hire them, because I need to lead, man. I'm not a robot. So like, I'll let them do it, but keep the lines of communication super open, letting them know exactly what we need them to do with this software, what's the outcome, and constantly looking at return on investment and all of that. So it's just being involved, it's being up in the times, it's marketing effectively and with intention now. Yeah.
Great.
No,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
that's exactly it. Yeah, and I think, well, like you said, prompting it is a big deal on how you do that. And well, I'll tell you, for us, one thing I've been having all our team members do is role playing with ChatGPT just on their own outside of it. That has been because it's such a safe environment. Because you think even with team role play, they might have the fear of their other team members judging them or whatever, or the one-on-one person they have, and when it's with the AI, that it's just it's really a lot lighter. So we've been seeing some success with that, but that's
That's a great idea. I'm taking that idea. I love it.
yeah.
Chad, you have to show her how you do it. It's slick. We were on a call, just me and him, and he was showing me it, and I think it'd be helpful for everybody that
Yeah, you
watches.
should share it for sure.
Well, and yeah, and the biggest thing too is, so we were talking with a good couple of friends on Friday, and my wife and we started talking about ChatGPT, and I started telling them, or I started asking it questions, and I ask it the same way I would ask Jason, like, hey man, spit this out in this way, but don't make it sound weird, make it sound cool. Like I was talking like that to it, and they were like, wait, you talk to ChatGPT like that? I'm like, yeah, like talk to it like a human being, like so you kind of get the result you want, or at least that's how I do it, and it really worked for me, especially over time. It's picked it up. But the whole point in me going there was oh, where was I going with that? We were talking about the role playing. Oh, when you role play, you really have to prep the scenario. Like, so, I pull it up and I say, hey, here's a lead that came in on Google pay per click,
Mm.
and they looked at 123 Main Street in Land O'Lakes in Florida, this price point. We had two text messages. They said, not really interested right now, or something like that. Like I feed it everything. And say, now I want you to role play that my follow up call to them. It's this long. I prompt it this long on, but it's on voice. So I'm just, back and
Yeah.
forth. And I say, give me, and be super, super hard. I want you to, you can break if I ask enough questions of curiosity, but don't, be super, super hard and just say that you're just browsing and not serious. And after that gigantic, backfill, it tends to work pretty well, or at least,
Awesome.
as good as it can in that environment. So, it's to your point about prompting and proper prompting, that's the game, but doing it in your style and your language and your verbiage is what I think that people need to do more of. Like, don't
Yeah.
try to fit a box, fit your box.
Yeah.
He's like,
Yeah.
be harder on me.
That is just genius. I'm totally doing it. Like I'm definitely doing it. One thing I learned not long ago was that you can teach ChatGPT to generate marketing materials and things like that based on your mission, vision, values, your goals for the year, like all of that. And anything that you ask them to write then will be like referenced back to that whole big sheet that you've taught, not sheet, but that whole big data set that you've inputted. Um, I even did like a fun exercise the other day about like visualizing where I'm at in my perfect life in like 5 years, professionally and personally, and it developed like all the way down to like a weekly schedule for me to get me to those goals. Like it was freaking wild. I was
Crazy.
like, this is really cool.
It's funny how
So
close to a lot of Cheplack stuff that it spits out when I ask it stuff. I'm like, well, they must they must know what they're doing. But the one thing I'll point out too, so I had a meeting with Mia at Reside,
oh, so
and it was really trying to get through a personal breakthrough, some fear that I was getting through, and we really went there. It was a really, really good meeting. But I didn't really get to the she was trying to have me discover the answer, and I really couldn't find it on that call. So I took the transcript because it was recorded and on the AI note taker and fed it into there. And I asked it, I said, what am I missing about my fear of whatever? I forget what it was at the time. And well, no, I said, ask me questions so I help self-discover what I'm missing on this call. Oh my God. It was like therapy. It was wild. It was wild.
wow. That's
So
really great. And Mia's like, so she's so well spoken and asks so many good questions that you probably gave it a lot of really great information to pull
exactly.
from. Yeah.
Exactly. It was
Yeah.
great. Yeah. The questions with it, it's one other thing too. We'll have agents prompt it with, say, give me questions to ask this person looking at their home value to help me get them to an appointment. Like, give me
Hmm.
questions to ask them to help lead them to an appointment. And that I've had 3 team members do that, and they love that because they have like a list of questions they can ask. Because they don't ask enough questions. They go to tell too much. Or we did too, right? We all made that mistake of telling,
Hmm.
and you're not enough curiosity. So giving that questions list is another one. But yeah, anyway, I get all fired up, and Jason knows because
We'll have to brainstorm. We'll have to brainstorm. I love
coming
it.
up here in a few weeks, huh? That'll
Yeah.
be. We'll see each other in person in a few weeks. That'll be
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Cool, cool. Well, so if anybody wants to get in contact with you, work with you, what's the best place for them to go?
Yeah. Let's see. So you can email me, jessica@jboswellteam.com. You can find me on Instagram, jboswellteam. And I'm really easy to find on Facebook. That's honestly probably the best place to get me. Just search me
Great.
up, Boswell.
Love it, love it. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I think this was gold. I think you really, really shared some great stuff here with everyone. So thanks for jumping on and
You
pouring
guys are
some
awesome.
value.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We'll see you here soon. Have a good one.
Okay. Bye.